It's time for today's update here on Elko Live. We're going to get an update, a snapshot, what's going on with Elko County. Commissioner Jon Karr joins us in studio, and we'll recap the organization of the board for the year, look over a couple of recent agenda items, John, and then maybe talk about some goals for 2026. Welcome to the program today.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the entertainment of going to the Alexis Hill meet and greet, but that's fine too.
Well, if you wanted to bring that up, that is just fine. Jon Karr and I were both on hand for a meet and greet with gubernatorial candidate Alexis Hill. She came to Elko yesterday for an event downtown. Seemed to be pretty well attended, and you were there, and you and I talked about this a little bit. It's important that people attend these forums or opportunities for candidates of all sides. I mean, how else are you going to know what the issues are?
I actually asked her to come to Elko when she first announced her candidacy. I'm a huge supporter of Governor Lombardo, but I want to hear other sides of the aisle and what her thoughts were. Very intelligent woman. I have a much more profound respect for her. I don't agree on some of her ideas and where she's going, but no, she's very intelligent and a very good person. And if we ended up with a Democrat, I would hope it'd be her, not the alternative.
You know, it is interesting, and whether or not more and more people are thinking this way, John, it does make sense. I mean, Alexis Hill is currently Washoe. Well, she I guess she has. Did she resign from the Washoe County Commission, or is she an active commissioner? Because she won't be running. Yeah.
I first talked to her back in December, so she was an active commissioner.
Yes.
I don't concurrently know
exactly
January. I hadn't looked into that detail because we started talking about her running, so we didn't talk about what's going on.
What's going on? But that's good experience.
Absolutely,
with boots on the ground in the county and in a rural community too, or in northern Nevada at least.
Well, that was one of the things I pounded the table on and said. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, but if you're like Governor Sisolak and basically ignore the rurals, do not care whatsoever, then I don't have any time for you. And no, she made a point to come out here, visit with the rurals, and that's already a step above Governor Sisolak ever did, and quite honestly, Senator Rosen in my mind.
I don't know that I would recognize Senator Rosen. Catherine Cortez Masto comes out often enough. Congressman Amodei also makes more frequent visits, obviously, over his lengthy career. And Alexis Hill does have family in Ely, so she's been coming out to rural Nevada, I guess, for some time, is the way she described it.
I was laughing with Cortez Masto's staff that I called her an exceptional Democrat, and that was one of the chuckles yesterday. But anyway, two key points that the public needs to know about that I brought up, and a couple times I interrupted Alexis on. They said, a few years ago we raised the mining tax, and I had to butt in and go, no, you raised a tax on one single company alone, NGM Mining, and it went to education, which sounds fantastic, but that's not what happened. It did go to education, and then under the Sisolak and that legislative group, then pulled out what they were subsidizing the education fund from the general fund. So it didn't actually increase the education fund whatsoever. It actually increased the general fund. But the sleight of the hands, it sounds like really nice stuff when it's going to education. So that's not what happened. And it's the same group that also changed the DSA, which was the distributive student account, which the teachers and clerks supposedly have a higher cost of living, and that was their excuse to get elected, in my mind, the Southern Democrats. And so they changed the school funding formula. It's part of the reason Elko High School, or Elko School District, and these rural school districts are having funding problems because whether a teacher, it costs more to be a teacher in Vegas might be true. I don't know. But I know a school district in Elko is extremely more expensive because of the size of the schools. Carlin, Wells, Jackpot, and all that. It's not picking on them. They're just more expensive when you have a superintendent or not principal, vice principal, and all these when you only have 200-300 kids. It's just more expensive, more buildings, that cost per student.
And we used to have what was the hold harmless formula, which
they still have that, but then we're getting confusion because the last legislation under Governor Lombardo, they did a great big bump in education. And I think it was supposed to be a one-time fee, but a lot of the rurals then gave it as raises. So now it's an ongoing expense. And so that confused when student enrollment was dropping and the DSA changed. So you had 5 or 6 things changing all at once. So it kind of compounded it.
And then when you take net proceeds, as you just described at the beginning of the conversation, and you redistribute them, you change that formula, that causes so many other unintended consequences like you just described too, especially in rural communities. I mean, it was also talked about that there's an imbalance between net proceeds received by Eureka County and Lander County, although it's true some of their proceeds are now shifted to, as you described, the funding for education.
Well, Eureka and Lander, they said thank you to the state, we don't need you, and then they changed the NGM cost to NGM, that additional tax on NGM. They also changed it that no, schools can't get the net proceeds. So Eureka and Lander had to be on the DSA, which then became I don't remember what the acronym now is, but the current school funding. Mm-hmm. So they're no longer self-funded.
Wow. So this is all happening behind the scenes largely, because that's one thing that candidate Hill talked about, is that there's zero transparency at the Nevada legislative session. So, well,
we can all agree on that, Republican or Democrat.
Yes.
Another thing was on, and this part I chuckled a little bit, but they were talking about redistricting, and it will never be able to elect a rural representative, whether it be on the college or assemblyman, senate, whatever. Well, I'm sitting in a Democratic group, and it's the Democrats in Vegas that did it, so I kind of got a chuckle on that part. But that's what happened. They changed it. Now, other states, Republicans did the same thing. So, but in this case, no, it was Democrats.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, we need the Fair Maps Nevada, but that gets rejected. But now with the rise in nonpartisan, which that's another discussion, John, because, that could be attributed to the automatic voter signups at DMV.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we need Fair Maps Nevada. We need independent commissions to do the redistricting every, 10 years?
Yeah. After the census.
Yeah. It is incredibly insincere. I was going to use another word, but we're on the radio. We shouldn't be doing that.
Correct.
We shouldn't be creating those boundaries because it was John Rice who described he lost his race for regent, which is a rural regent position, has been historically, to a North Las Vegas candidate because of redistricting. And that person spent 6 months in office before she was elevated to a state senate or
assemblywoman or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. So we did get a great regent, by the way, in Pete Guagachia, but he is only temporary. And I'm not sure he's going to run for the position. Hopefully he does, but... Yeah.
But he's definitely qualified, very intelligent, very respected. But he's getting up in age that he also doesn't want to do that kind of stuff. He wants to
enjoy
say,
his
thank you.
life.
I put 1 million miles on my truck. It's time for me to relax and be at the house. So I don't know if he'll run again or not either. But
so talking with Jon Karr, our Elko County. Oh, wait. What are you again? Are you the chair?
No, I'm not.
Delmo's the chair. That's right. Thank you.
Rex is the vice chair. And I'm the guy sitting to the side.
All right. There was a little discussion on that from Commissioner Brian Gale saying, hey, put me in, coach, right? I mean, I didn't know.
He didn't actually say for him. He was recommending Travis as saying, hey, when you guys are, because Delmo, this is his last year, and then Rex and I both term out at the same time we have 3 years left. So, or whatever we're at now, 2 3/4, whatever. Anyway, so they're kind of saying, hey, why don't you help groom us to then take these leadership's role? And there's obviously some truth to that, but we'll start doing that now.
Okay. Going forward. All right. Talking with just Elko County Commissioner Jon Karr. Maybe you'll be a little less busy in the year because there's plenty to be decided, and I'm sure a lot of issues ahead. The one thing I did want to mention from a previous agenda, because we haven't had an update this month yet from commissioners, is this agreement between the Elko TV District, the county, and the Fire Protection District in sharing communications facilities. I'm not sure it's gotten enough attention, John, because it's my understanding we could save tens of thousands of dollars doing this.
I don't know the total savings, but it's one of those in the public's mind that have any idea of the TV district even existing. It's the question of, well, wait a minute, you guys didn't always coexist, co-talk, and no, there was a total disconnect. Nobody had a clue what the TV district was doing. They were their own entity, and I'm not saying it was bad or good, just there wasn't any overlapping communication of what are your needs, what are our needs, and I think we're starting to have that now. I'm trying to get the TV district to not necessarily switch directions, but include emergency or communications through the whole district, not just it was started as getting TV to the rural ranches and the true rurals to get communication out there for emergencies and whatever. Well, that was in the 60s, and I think we've transformed a little bit since then. So that's part of the reason I'm hoping our new towers and stuff will work with our fire district, our dispatch, those kind of things.
Yeah, they get a sizable tax increment. So again, another reason to, use the proceeds to enhance public safety and reliability, because we know operability is a huge issue for all the emergency services and the most mountainous, I think we are the most mountainous state actually in the United States. Isn't that wild? But we've got a lot of topography.
I'm going to guess
issues.
us or Alaska, but yes.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
So
and we'll be reviewing they took 5 cents when the pay-as-you-go went away, and I still don't necessarily think they really need that amount, but I haven't looked deeply into their budget enough. But now that's starting to be looked at. We have this agreement. What do you actually need?
They did I believe they approved their budget last night. I didn't get to the meeting. It was kind of a light agenda, so I chose.
And it wasn't I looked at it too, but it wasn't attached. So.
Oh, right.
So now that they approved it or didn't approve it, I don't know. I didn't watch the meeting either, but now we can get a copy.
Okay. So that'll be forthcoming. And more on that, I guess, yet to come. But, the Elko TV district is also, I guess the word would be lobbying, or they're appealing to the county commission to change the name from the Elko TV district, television district, to Elko Communications District. So that's in the works too.
Correct. And once again, I don't know what they require for their budget. I don't have any idea if they don't have enough, they have too much. I have no idea. But I think they're in a better direction of working with our fire and our emergency services, the sheriff's office, and other entities that not only our own Elko County, but NDF, BLM, all those, and being able to communicate for emergency services.
Yeah, be more of a support. It sounds like they're definitely heading in that direction, Jon. Jon Karr is our guest, county commissioner today. Let's just skip on to Wednesday's agenda. It's already Friday. What's going on with the sheriff's office? Did we hire an independent contractor?
That's just a review that we look at. It's nothing unusual.
It isn't?
Give some other ideas, review. That's why I didn't really pay that much attention to it, to be honest with you. But also, Delmo and Rex are more on the sheriff's committees, I guess you'd call them.
It does beg, though, is the sheriff up for election this year, or is it in 2 more years?
2 more years.
Oh, okay, 2 more years. Okay, because obviously there'll be more scrutiny. I watched the Carlin council meeting online, Jon, and there was quite a bit of discussion as the council rejected a proposal by the Elko County Sheriff's Office to take over city police in Carlin just because, it was a money-saving move. So, but apparently that was strongly rejected.
Well, my understanding on that is Carlin came to us. We didn't go to Carlin and recommend we take it over. So let's make sure that part was clear.
Right.
We didn't
I think Kevin McKinney. Yeah, I think he said
please
that.
Please let us.
Yeah.
No.
I think he actually did indicate that during that public meeting. So you're right. Better language, in talking about it.
Because yes, we weren't trying to expand our footprint. When I say we, the sheriff's office, but
it was interesting because Kevin McKinney was also one of the first to discourage it. So it was just probably something saying, well, look at this and see.
I haven't watched it all. I've heard some grumblings that not so nice things were uttered,
insinuated. Yeah,
and I'm going to make sure I review exactly what was said, and pretty sure I'll make some comments to the city council of Carlin if that was said.
So also under the sheriff's office, I noticed there's nothing on the jail expansion. Any updates on that one, Jon?
I'm getting a little frustrated with that myself. I've asked numerous times. No, we're going to truly go over these prints. Sometimes I've been lackadaisical in the past because it's not, I don't know, is it really my job to every little detail of every little print if we're going to build something? But I've come to realize that no, that was some mistakes I made on the school board, and it's a mistake I made on the fire out in Lamoille. It's a beautiful building, but there's some flaws in how it's designed. And so, no, I want the prints, and we're going to not only put them out to the public, but while being a sheriff's jail, I don't know how much of the prints we can get out with the public. Nothing's going to be hidden. It's not like that. But security-wise, I don't know. But no, I'm going to hugely scrutinize what we're doing. Because I was actually very impressed with walking through the rec center, and I actually was bragging to Rusty, man, you guys really hired a really good architect. This is the flow, everything. And he laughed that, no, that's him.
They didn't have an architect. It was design build. Yeah.
Well, it was also on him on Excel and Legos to make sure and really how it looks.
On a Lego application?
And so.
Wow.
To go, really, where's the flow and how's the lockers and where's this? And no, it's got great
And the ribbon cutting is Thursday, the 29th. So I got to know. Do you know, do the kids get to jump in the pool? Because that sounds so fun. I hope they get to jump in the pool.
I'd hope so too. I don't know.
I'd
Randy
love to see
Ridgway
that.
just sent me a picture a couple of days ago of them filling the pool.
Yes.
It was almost full. So yeah, I was pretty excited. But so I don't know yet either.
I know. I think it would just be so fun to be there on the sidelines and watch those kiddos jump in because they've been waiting a long time, especially the Elko Anacondas. So it's a lot to look forward to. Well, and then in the same vein, the Boys and Girls Clubs never one to rest on their laurels. They are ready to design the new arena or event center that's located near Kittredge Canyon.
And I publicly said that in the meeting, and I'll let you know, and I'll let the public know we haven't voted on it yet, but I will be stepping down from that review, and Rex will be taking my place on the rec center. Or event center, excuse me. I even told them to change the name. It drives me nuts, rec event. But anyway.
Well, especially because we have an event center. Yeah.
The event center. I feel because of, I now run the Chipino feed, which was given to me, and I do not make money on it. I don't charge them. All I do is get to volunteer and cook all of that for free.
That's a Boys and Girls Club fundraiser.
I do run the concession stands, which I do make money on during the concerts, and they picked me before I was ever even on the commission. But I don't want people to think that somehow that's why I'm influenced. So I went, Rex, it's probably better that you be the overseer on this because...
Is there somebody else on the commission, though, that maybe could step back even further? Because we know Rex definitely has a personal involvement in that.
Well, I don't have a personal involvement. He definitely is cheerleaded for it. But I'm also impressed with how much he's been hammering Rusty on the contract that...
We don't see that.
That Delmo...
Okay.
Delmo was instrumental in that contract on the $15 million, and Rex has been going point by point, going, all right, line item 2B, all right. Yes, no. Line item 3B here. Yep, no. And so, no, Rex's been a big stickler on it.
Okay. Yeah, because the community does want to know the land update and certainly just more regular updates on it.
Absolutely. And we were going to have that, but then Rusty was out of town for some family problem, some illness, whatever. But anyway, so we couldn't make the meeting, and we wanted him to be the one truly to present. And this last one, then when he did present, here's the list of the meetings when they are, handed it out. So, no, I believe we're trying for 100% transparency.
Okay. And we do know that facility, let's see, because the county has, so you've got like $14 million plus interest still in reserve. You've just given the $1 million for the design, right?
Correct.
That was the most recent action. And so he's also supposed to give updates on the fundraising, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that should be coming.
Correct.
Because this is something that's not clear. Is there a deadline? Because... Was that
there
ARPA
is.
money?
It's in the contract.
Oh, that is in the contract. Well, he has 4 years in the contract. And I think that was...
But there's different steps. It's not just by 4 years, boom.
Okay.
I don't have the contract in front of me, but there were some deadlines in there. I said, Delmo really... He really made sure that we had some skin and teeth in this contract. It wasn't lackadaisical by any means.
And I pulled out the map. It's called the Elko Event Center, which again, I think it causes some consternation for the Elko Convention Center, the official E-Center, and the ECVA, which is actually, part of the state. So that's a huge parcel of land, but then we've just got this little triangle there. And so he's proposing an underground parking garage because we don't have all that land yet, right, John? Is that
supposedly working on that with the BLM, and obviously I can't say yes, that's happening, no, that's happening. I honestly don't know, other than he said in the meeting they're in discussions.
Okay.
So what that means, I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, and that's part of this issue, listeners, is that this is a quasi-public project. This is the Boys and Girls Club is a nonprofit. They do not have to disclose the same things that Elko County Commission does. The County Commission, county tax dollars, however you want to describe it, are being used to help construct the project, but it's a quasi-public-private project. It's a partnership with a nonprofit.
Correct.
So that's why we ask the questions, John, and thank you for understanding. We're not belligerent. I think it's just people want to know. That's a lot of money. So $15 million.
Well, absolutely. I'm not trying to shy about any of it. This is what's going on. Right.
So we'll look forward to some updates. And then obviously, there'll be some exciting things. If it's like the Rec Center, Aquatic Center, Nevada Gold Mines contributed $10 million to that. So we're just looking to see what kind of big contribution for this coming in for the.
And Elko Heat, I believe, with the city of Elko last month put in for the building permits to hook that up to the Elko
Geothermal?
Heat geothermal.
Oh, okay, yes, and those are very important relationships, because heating a pool or a facility of that size, that would be an enormous burden, and that's one of the reasons the city of Elko turned the whole ball of wax over. The city is going to continue paying $400,000 toward operations of the pool. That's, apparently, I don't know that it's ever subject to be reviewed unless they come back and want more, but that'll be continuous. So, but
I would guess it'd be reviewed, but I don't know. I first in my mind is that seems kind of shady, but you go look at this facility and that's what things cost, and it is a beautiful facility.
Well, in the city, they were spending far more, I believe, when you count repairs and all the things, and they couldn't make improvements. Right. Yeah, so,
you're right.
So the $400,000.
So once you see it, I think the $400,000 I think is legit.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that's yet to be worked out, that I have heard people, they are concerned about the hours, because the open lap swim and folks that want to drop in and use the pool the way they used to, But
that's going to get worked out. It's just like anything. They'll first start, and there'll be some grumblings, but then there'll be some things they did right, some things they did wrong, and it's not all now set in stone that it opens at 7 no matter what. No, they'll figure it out.
50 years ago, there was lots of grumbling, apparently, because I wasn't here for that, but when the Elko Convention Center was built, there were a lot of naysayers, and now some of the naysayers are happy about that building and love to use it, and so do their kids and even some of their grandkids. So there you go.
I don't know, it was 50 years ago, because I'm 52 and I don't remember 2 years old, but yes, it was 82. It was built 78.
70. Was it older then? Is it like
it's 78 or 82? I think is when they.
So I thought they just celebrated their time. Who knows? Yeah. But I know it's at least. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's not do the math that I'm 52. It's a few years back.
Let's not do the math. Jon Karr is our guest, and we're talking about things on the agenda. I'm just, let's see. Oh, you know what? I did mean to ask you, because you were coming on. Oh, if there was anything, the last time we checked or talked, the county was looking at the Wells Fargo building. Anything new on that?
As far as I know, that got sold, and a private individual purchased that, and so no, we're not looking at it unless that falls through. But we're reevaluating now on the campus of the county as a whole. We really still need to get the public defenders out of there. If you really go look in that old building, which no, we don't have plans to now tear it down, so we don't need the historians getting mad at us. But what can we do on that campus? And we either need to bulldoze down the old Wright Motors buildings or liven them up, because they really are an eyesore junk right now. So if we're going to use them, I don't know, maybe we move the Get My Ride, or we move the ambulance to there, or something, whatever. Let's make them nice and presentable, the downtown. Or no, we're not ever using them, and let's mow them down. But that's part of this architecture of what we're looking is at that whole campus.
Okay, so you do have, is it a feasibility underway or an assessment? What are you going through?
However you want to word it, to look at.
But you've hired someone?
The same ones that we looked at designing the courthouse.
Oh, okay, because
they had spent so many time already looking at the courthouse,
yes,
the bank, all of that. So we just decided to include the whole campus and go. But what are other options here?
Isn't it amazing to think that a few years ago, $65 million was way too much money, and now, you couldn't even touch a project like what was proposed for that kind of money. That's how prices are going up. The judges have to be frustrated, right, John?
I haven't talked to them. I don't know.
So they're probably frustrated.
Probably
very, because I know the Justice Center.
I get to hear the ones because it smells downstairs, because the airflow in the courthouse is not right and everything, and I had to go help with that, and so I get that kind of thing. But
yeah, absolutely.
But no, it's an old building, the courthouse, but we sure the heck don't ever have an idea to go bulldoze that either. We want it always as an active, vibrant building, but how better to use it is what we're looking at.
And so will the county have money for that, do you think? Is that what, are we planning for that in this feasibility or assessment?
Oh, yeah, we have some money in the bank, so it's just going to be, what's our best use?
Right, okay.
And we do need to, I've had a couple of people disagree with where the ambulance, that no, it's actually in a good localized spot. I think it's horrific to have the ambulance on basically the high school campus. You get an ambulance call at noon when kids are out, and And we know high school kids are silly, so they're standing there staring as the ambulance is trying to get through them. And no, it's a horrible spot.
They've really outgrown it.
It's also a horrible facility, and
the equipment is stored outside.
I have kind of a problem with that too. You're right.
Yeah, we spend so much money and then leave those vehicles,
hundreds of thousands of dollars for those,
sitting
$500,000 to sit outside.
Yeah. So a combined complex, maybe fire, ambulance, something like that. I'm sure.
Yes, we're looking at that with Chief Peterson as well. So. Those are in the future, not to huge. We're not going to build a Sandvik facility or something like that, but no, we do need a new facility.
Well, we go from all the new, shiny, contemporary, the new buildings and projects, then we shift gears and go back to something really old and dying, and that's Lamoille Grove, right?
Old and dying. No, it's not dying. It's dead.
Well, the trees are dead, yes.
That is such heartbreaking. The canopy, is going to be years before you ever get that beautiful canopy back. But
why is this such a big, there's been such a kerfluffle.
Well, it's one of those, first was confusion on, well, okay, what really happened here? Okay, let's go we spent a lot of money to trim the trees to try to save them. And that's when they went, well, by the way, they're already dead. So then it was, well, wait a minute, we get a bid to cut them down. And that bid was through the roof. And so we were hoping our fire district could come in and cut them down, but it hasn't snowed and really hard enough freeze to protect the grass and everything else. We were hoping basically a cushion to drop those trees onto. And you see outside, it's not very cold, and there sure isn't any snow. So, and then we went out to look for some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bid for proposals, or
yes,
request for RFPs?
For not an architect, but for
like a landscape architect.
Thank you. There's the word I'm trying to get out.
Okay.
A landscape architect.
It's been a long week for both of us.
But then our assistant county manager put his attorney hat on and got a little too overzealous on it, like a 30-page document to go out for, we're talking like $5 or $8 grand, $10 for a landscape design. We're like, Curtis, can we redo this? And this is, so it shouldn't have been that complicated, but it is.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Shouldn't be. It got to be, but we're reversing course, and it won't be.
And it's a community project, right? You do have some
civic
the Lions,
groups. The Rotary's already gotten some donations for some trees. They're already looking at. So it's, and Lamoille, nobody in Lamoille wants to see that as junk. It's a beautiful area. So no, it'll be a good group together.
I would feel badly if I didn't say and advocate for landscape architects, actually, John, because they do things like they evaluate soil and conditions, and they try to, determine what kind of conditions the trees, that should be planted and what they might need. So it might have been worthwhile to consider the
No, we're
the
still
plan.
going to do that. We're just not going to use a 30-page RFP to go find one.
Oh, I see. You weren't rejecting the landscape.
No,
you were just rejecting
the ridiculous
Curtis's
document.
Enormous work. Well, he's a novelist, too. I don't know if you know
Which
that.
We're not trying to pick on him.
Right. No,
but yes, he got a little overzealous with that document.
He's a wonderful human, and he's also an incredible writer. So his talents are probably underutilized if he's writing you 30-page RFPs.
Correct.
All right. I'm glad we got that, because I felt bad that there weren't going to be. But there will be proposals from landscape architects coming in for the rehabilitation of Lamoille Grove. How did the collective bargaining go for law enforcement and the sheriff's associations?
I don't know behind the scenes, but we came to an agreement. Let's just say that.
Okay, so that was signed.
It seemed to lead a little more contentious than it should have been, but we're fine. They're sure not now.
And as you pointed out, it's not an election year. So, because sometimes things get sticky around elections and our sheriff is elected. Sheriff Aitor Narveza and Police Chief Kyle Ward will be resuming their radio show next Thursday. They'll be on, John. And so I'm sure because they've both just been through negotiations recently. So They'll talk about what they can.
Correct.
I want to make sure of all the different topics, because we're already winding up to the top of the hour. Did we get to the things? You always have so much juicy news, Jon Karr.
Juicy news, huh?
Yeah.
I've heard from the governor's office that I'm going to be on their green energy board as a rural representative.
Wow, that almost sounds anti Jon Karr.
This ought to be good. Come on, Lori.
I'm just saying, green development. I would expect about the fuels efficiency or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but
well, see, so
what is this commission?
well, I don't totally know, but it has to do with solar, wind, geo, which I'm a huge against wind. But geo and solar, if used properly, well, expect geothermal is I'm cheerily big time for. Solar, I'm for if you do it properly. And when I say that, I think it's horrible that all this the sea of sagebrush, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on herbicides to kill everything, to put these solar panels and just pack them in so tight. You basically created a dead area. Whereas studies have shown if you space them out a little bit more and then you graze sheep and other things, then it's fantastic. It's a win-win. And so that's part of the reason why I'm hoping to get on there is for that. Let's be smart about it. And why can't we do both? Why can't we be raising sheep and not be putting chemicals on the ground and also still be having our grazing AMUs and bring sheep back to instead of importing sheep from New Zealand, those kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
And geothermal, it's ridiculous how long it takes for the geothermal companies.
Ormat,
thank you, to get permits. I mean, how much better for the environment can you pump water out and then pump it right back in the ground?
I think those things are changing as we're sitting here. I know.
Okay, so I get to do one slight dig at the Democrat convention thing yesterday. There was somebody complaining about the cost of power, but then they also talked about global warming and the environment. And I'm like, well, and they also then said something about the Sierra Club. Well, you can't have attorney firms that sue no matter what. Even if it is good for the environment, they sue. So there's an extra cost. And that keeps geothermal 10 years out before they can get running. Well, that's why it costs so much.
And that's Jon Karr's been on the commission. One of I think the arguments that you were talking about even then, Equal Access to Justice Fund, do we still have that?
Yes, it's still, and Congressman Amadeus promised to look at it now that he's on whatever new committee he's on, but I haven't heard anything.
So that makes sense that you would be asked to sit on this green energy panel then. That's really, you'll have to keep us up to date on that. So yeah, because you do have a conservation yet, conservative. I mean, I hate to label those things because sometimes it just makes sense. Why do we have to label it? Why don't we say, yeah, we can have solar panels and we can graze sheep and we can not put herbicides? I mean,
why can't we?
Why is that always political? Yeah,
and I don't really get a kick out of seeing a mile-long train of coal going down the track to whether it be Valemy or out to the Newmont plant or PTS plant. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if we could have the geothermal and pump the hot water down, whatever, absolutely. But there's smart ways to do both. It's been so extreme on both sides.
That'll be great to see how you are received on the panel and how you are able to make an impact, and you'll have to give us some updates on that.
Other than that, I was lucky enough to be on the school We're in Trouble committee, so we'll be wrapping that up soon.
What is the real name of that committee?
I don't know. It's the budget committee. It was not really the budget committee.
Is it the one
the budget review committee?
That was slammed by the Free Press?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that they didn't want to name anybody that was on it.
Yeah, and that's another discussion for another. If the community even wants to have that was just unfortunate. So any quick conclusions as a result of that you can talk about on that budget review or evaluation? I mean, you opened the program talking about the actual funding, the reality.
That was a big part of it.
Yes, because we're not the only school district going through this.
Correct.
Yes.
Douglas is basically, they did the same thing. They gave raises, and this is where I already got slammed by the union stuff. They gave raises they couldn't afford. Well, nowhere am I now saying they didn't deserve a raise. Nowhere I said teachers are overpaid. None of that. I just went, their checkbook couldn't afford it because enrollment's declining, and they changed the law so they have less money. They did the raise anyway, and now they're broke. But I also said it's tied to all six things. They changed the funding formula. We have a lower enrollment because of just population. We're not having as many kids. Because of also after COVID, people went, wait, forget this. I can just stay online. I don't even got to deal with the school. So the mentality of online schools changed. Then you throw in charter schools. Okay, there's another cut out of the pie. Then you throw in And it's really too bad how the big expense that Lombardo in the last legislative session did to bump education, it happened to be at the wrong time. That it's, wait a minute, you guys got this huge influx of money and you're broke? Well, when you had all of those pieces of pie all fall together.
And we're still 48th in the nation.
And it actually, partially because of the whole harmless of all of that and that bump is why it was such a shock.
So more to come on that. But you were invited to sit on that committee, and that's important. So as a former school board trustee, I think.
I don't know if I was invited or I demanded I be on it.
You burst your way in. Okay.
I'm not sure which happened, but either way, I kind of went, well, I was on here when we had the big mortgage meltdown, what was that, 12, 15 years ago or whatever it was. Okay. And so I tried to bring some of those ideas of what we looked at.
All right,
That's the actual
Jon.
reason why they wanted me on there.
Okay. Well, and I think that's important, for people to know. CJ Anderson, the superintendent, he'll come on this radio program, and I don't think he's going to say bad things about you, Jon, but
I get along great with CJ. I don't mind razzing him and stuff. There's some things I disagree with how the school runs, and I guarantee there's things I'll disagree with how I run things, so we're fine.
Right. So, and we would talk another half an hour because people tell me they always find this so entertaining because they never know. They just don't know. I'm looking at the agenda, and I think we covered most of the highlights. I don't want to discourage people from going back and looking online. The health board meetings are always informative, and I don't know if anything jumped out on the health board. I mean, are we still free of outbreaks, and we still doing okay?
The one point that was if I can learn to talk real quick, the point that was brought up was still the mental health, and once somebody's deemed incoherent or they're basically not rational anymore, I forget whatever the legal term is. That is part of the problem right now, is getting a judge to sign off that somebody's no longer, I'm just going to use coherent as the word, I don't remember the legal term, but getting a doctor to say that person's not coherent, to then give to the judge for this to be able to happen, is part of the overcrowding in the jail. But this is what's going on all through Nevada. And the gal yesterday, Alexis, was talking about that, of whereas Washoe, they're trying to do their own clinic too, because the state's kind of failed at that, because the two, one's in Washoe and one's in Clark, are full, and months and months and months to ever even get in there.
You probably have to have a psychiatric evaluation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, are you just a little slightly overdosed and you've got to come off the drugs that you're on, so no, mentally everything works, it just needs to clean up?
Yeah.
Or no, you've now scrambled the
brain.
eggs enough that it's not coming back.
Oh,
so
boy.
To get that determination is almost impossible. So the jails are suffering because they can't even deal with them. They have to be in isolation.
Well, the
and
expansion we're considering is like 47 beds.
Yes, so that's what we're trying.
Yeah.
But the long term of where those people go is still what happens if, yes, they are truly mentally incapable, because for whatever reason.
Right. We don't have institutions the way that we had in the 80s.
Correct.
Yeah. So, okay. So I guess we have more to come on that, right? In the future.
And then this year's election, Alexis Hill brought up a point on taxes. And you will somehow see it, whether she gets in there or not, is on the property tax.
Yes. And
that will come up again.
It will come up again because it's been described as low-hanging fruit. We will spend more time talking about that issue. When Mayor Franzoia was mayor of the city of Elko, it was discussed and dismissed because it's considered higher taxes, but it's an equalizer. It's so that everybody pays their fair share of taxes. If you have a 100-year-old house and you sell your house to the next person, then the next person doesn't get the depreciated value and basically zero or little tax. They have to start over again. That's fair. That's only fair, but that's not the way we do it.
Basically our property tax is set up like an old vehicle. Okay, I bought an old Chevy and
yes.
I bought it for like $2,000. Well, then you're right. You shouldn't pay property tax on a $50,000 pickup that you bought for $2,000.
Exactly.
But what's happening is there's still property tax is still based on that $2,000, which that house was 50 years ago. But no, it's sold to somebody for $300,000.
Right.
So it's the exact opposite of what's going on. So no, I've actually brought this up. You and I talked about this a few years ago on the thing, and I don't agree with it. I think it should be changed, but the realtors are fighting it.
Well, of course. And guess who else will fight it? The VRBO people and other people who are, making.
Well, yeah, the companies that own
all the investment companies who come in and buy up all
fighters,
these.
Yeah.
And I know the city of Elko is dealing with that issue too right now behind the scenes because there's a 3-bedroom 2-bath across the street in my neighborhood for rent for $2,300 a month. Who can afford that? Well,
I thought you were telling me I got to raise my rent on my rentals.
Well, does it drive up the prices for everybody? Or does a house like that a family really can't afford, do they have to have a bunch of people packed in there? And then it brings a bunch of cars and then a bunch of issues to a neighborhood that wasn't built as an apartment complex. I mean, how is that fair?
Right.
So I know. We've almost covered another half an hour, John. Good thing it's a Friday. Thank you for being on the program today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and we'll appreciate you listeners. Thank you for joining us for Elko Live today. We've been discussing some of the recent county commission issues and other local issues on Elko Live here on KELK. You can find the program archived at elkoradio.com.